we are going to see the means the key points of the lesson. First one, introduction part. Early years. Before 200 years, society was totally different. What we are seeing not like this, it was entirely different. Most children were married off at an early age, by 5 years, for 10 years, like that, children was married. Both Hindu and Muslim men could marry more than one wife. Even both society, Hinduism as well as Islam religion, was given permission to marry more than one wife. Sadi Prada, a widow, burned herself on the funeral fire of her husband, was prevailing in Hindu society. The day of death of her husband, and she also want to die in the that same fire or pyre of her husband. That was the system of India. Then women's right to property were also restricted. The parents' property, when if there is 200 acres of land, and 4 girls and 2 boys are there, then usually that 200 acres are dividing with the boys, not giving to the girls. But in the marriage time, dowry was there, and dowry was giving to girls in the time of marriage. That's why many problems we face, the dowry, death, like that things, many problems we face. Then afterwards we can see the fight against the dowry and other things in the higher classes, you will see. Then most women had virtually no access to education. They never got chance to study not only the Sanskrit and like that Vedas, other things also, science, maths, then language, like that things also was very restricted. In most regions, people were divided along line of caste, that we have started to see from 6th standard Varna system. That time onwards we have seen Indian society was divided in the name of caste, and European society was divided in the name of money, means the upper class, lower class, like that. Then here it was the upper caste, lower caste, that was the difference. And Brahman Kshatriyas considered themselves as a upper caste, means the Brahmins who is doing the prayers in the temple, and Kshatriya who was the rulers of the country, they was considered themselves as a upper caste. And traders and money lenders referred as Vaishyas were placed after them. After Brahman and Kshatriya, next third group it was Vaishyas. Then peasants and artisans who was the weavers and potters, referred as the Shudras, were at the lower rank. The lower caste, it was the potters, peasants and weavers, like that. Then afterwards we have seen that one in 7th standard we studied about when the tribal groups also came with the mainstream of the society. That time we can see the sub caste of the society started, sub caste system or Jati system here in India. That also we studied in 7th standard. Then over the 19th and 20th century, many of these norms and perceptions slowly changed by 19th and 20th century, because the Western education, like that things, it came here. So slowly it is happening changes. Still we can see caste system and caste politics, everything like that things are there in India. Then for the slowly we changed it. So we are going to see how it is changing or working, those who are working for this change, that we are going to see. Working towards change. From the earlier 19th century, after the development of new forms of communication, debates and discussions about social customs and practices started. Means there was many debates, many discussions, because of the different forms of communication, press and other things, means newspaper, magazines, like that. So many of the social customs and practices started to change. These debates were often initiated by Indian reformers and reform group. Some of the individuals who taken the initiative to reform Indian society, as well as some of the groups was there, associations was there. They work for this to conduct these debates or communication discussions for the development or changes in the Indian society. Rajaram Mohan Roy, 1772-1833, was one such a reformer who founded a reform association known as the Brahma Sabha, later known as Brahma Samaj in Calcutta. Then from the one of the philosopher from India, Rajaram Mohan Roy, he started Brahma Sabha or Brahma Samaj for this intention. For what? To make changes in Indian society. Reformers were those people who felt that changes were necessary in the society. Reformers thought, they started to think like that, we want to make changes in the society, and it is really unjust practice needed to be done away with the what is like a sati, like that system should be removed from India, because it is not at all good for any people, those who are believing in this system or those who made these rules for them, or it is not at all good. Here was interested in spreading of in the knowledge of the Western education in the country and bring about the greater freedom and equality for women. So the English education came here, that we have seen in the last chapter. Because of that one, girls also started to study in the school. So slowly the freedom and equality, the girls also started to enjoy freedom and equality. He wrote about the way women were forced to bear the burden of the domestic work, confined to home and kitchen, and not allowed to move out and to become educated. What was the system in India that time, and the time of Raja Ram Mohan Roy, or up to that time, the ladies, they want to work in the domestic work inside the home. Then they want to work, means they can't come in front hall when the guests are coming. That time also they are not allowed. They want to be inside the home, they want to work, and especially in the kitchen work they want to complete, as well as looking after children, washing of clothes, like that. Then they are not allowed to go out of the house, and even they are not able to study. If they can't go out, how they will study? And the teachers was come to homes to teach the boy children, but not to girl child. Changing the lives of the widows. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was particularly moved by the problems widows faced in their lives. So he began a campaign against the practice of sati. Because when we are reading about Raja Ram Mohan Roy, we can see that when his sister suffered the same problem, her husband died, and the people was pushing her into the fire of the husband's that time. So he faced the same problem, so he started to think over it, and he started a campaign or awareness program for against sati. Then by the early 19th century, many British officials had also begun to criticize Indian tradition and customs. Therefore, they were more than willing to listen to Ram Mohan, who was reputed to be a learned person. So English people, we have seen that one in the last chapter, they was thinking like that we was uncivilized, we don't have like that our own civilization like that, or we are not cultured like that, they was saying. Because of what practice systems we was practicing, customs of our India, that's why. So when Raja Ram Mohan Roy like that, people they came front to say against the custom of India, then British people was ready to work with them, because they know like the people, those who are coming with like this idea, they already learned, and that learned person can influence Indians like that. In 1829, sati was banned. Who banned? East India Company banned sati system. Another reformer, Ishwara Chandra Vidyasagar, used an ancient text to suggest that widows could remarry, and from Vedas they are quoting some of the quotations, and Ishwara Chandra Vidyasagar, he said like that widow can remarry. His suggestion was adopted by British officials, and law was passed in 1856 permitting widow remarriage. So Widow Remarriage Act came in 1856. You can note all these points, it is important points, and when you are reading the lesson you will get better idea. In Telugu speaking areas of Madras Presidency, Veera Salingam Pandulu formed association for widow remarriage. So that from Calcutta it is coming to South Indian people also getting the information, or they are also getting the insight to give permission to widow remarriage. In the north, Swami Dayanand Saraswati, who founded the reform association called Arya Samaj, also supported widow remarriage. So in the North India, Swami Dayanand Saraswati, he also saying like that widow can remarry. So we can see it is starting from the northeastern part of India, that is in the Bengal area. Bengal area, and it is spreading to South India as well as into North India, and many other thinkers or philosophers or the those who are interested in social reform, they're taking up that one and they are acting in a positive way. Girls begin going to school. Many reformers felt that education for girls was necessary in order to improve the condition of women. So all the reformers, not only these three, other reformers also was there. They also thinking like that girls, if they are getting better education, their condition will improve. Vidyasagar in Calcutta and many other reformers in Bombay set up schools for girls. So schools, it is setting up the big cities of that time when because of the British people that we have seen in the before lessons, and even 7th standard we have seen why this development of Bombay, Calcutta, Madras that we have seen because of the other port which ports was under the control of the Mughal kings, and where the Dutch people or English people was able to make their own port under their control. According to that, they developed 3 cities in that time. When the East India companies came here in India, that was Bombay, Calcutta and Madras. So they are starting the schools in Bombay as well as in Calcutta. Then people feared that schools could take girls away from home, prevent them from doing the domestic issues. Some of the peoples from India itself, they are getting the reformers getting the attitude against this activity. What they are doing, that is totally against the social system like that. Some of the people, they thought because the ladies won't work in the home, they will go out and they won't complete their domestic duties like that, they was thinking. Also, girls had to travel through public places in order to reach school, which would have corrupting influence on them. Then there was thinking like that they was going through a public place and it was not permitted according to our system. Throughout the 19th century, most educated women were taught at home by liberal fathers and husbands. So many of the persons, they studied at home with the help of fathers and husbands. That also we have seen in 7th standard in the chapter of women change the world in that chapter. In the later part of the century, schools for girls were established by Arya Samaj in Punjab and Jyotirao Phule in Maharashtra. Then they are starting the schools, especially in Punjab area and Maharashtra area, that is only for girls, a separate girls school. Then aristocratic Muslim household in North India, women learned to read and read the Quran in Arabic. Some of the families, Muslim family, they started to teach women to read their holy book Quran. They were taught by women who came home to teach. That they are learning, those who are studied already Quran, they are teaching the other ladies. Some reformers such as Mumtaz Ali reinterpreted verses from Quran to argue for women's education. So what she is doing, the one of the person who learned Quran, that is Mumtaz Ali, then she is reinterpreting the Quran sentences to argue for the education of the ladies. Then women write about women. That also we have seen in 7th standard. Some of the ladies, Rama Devi, like that, ladies, they wrote about the condition, life situation of the ladies in that time. From the early 20th century, Muslim women like Begum of Bhopal founded a primary school for girls at Aligarh. Then Begum Ruqayya Shekhawat Hossain started school for Muslim girls in Patna and Calcutta. All these examples we have seen in which class? 7th standard. By 1880s, Indian women began to enter universities and train to be doctors, and some become teachers. Then they are the ladies, after the primary education, they are entered to universities to become the doctors and teachers. Then Tarabai Shinde, a woman educated at home at Pune, published a book, Stri Purusha Stula, means the comparison between the women and men, criticizing the social differences between men and women. There was that much inequality was there in the society So Tarabai Shinde, she is criticizing with the help of her book. Pandita Ramabai, a great scholar of Sanskrit, wrote a book about the miserable life of the upper caste Hindu women. She founded a widow's home at Pune to provide shelter to widows. This also we have seen last year. Ramabai, what she wrote about the life of the upper caste ladies, how much they are suffering in their home, and she's making a house or a shelter for the widows, or she's make a home for the widows because they were suffering that much. That also we have seen in 7th standard. By the end of the 19th century, women themselves were actively working for reform. Then slowly the educated ladies, they coming friend and they started to work for the reform in the society. They wrote books, edited magazines, founded schools and training centers, and set up women's association. For the reform of the ladies, what all things they are doing? They are writing books, edited magazines, founded schools and training centers. Then they are starting the women's association also. From the early 20th century, they founded political pressure groups to push through law for female suffrage. We don't have the voting right on that time. Even in Britain it was not there. Even in European countries it was not there on that time. Same time we also started to give the pressure on the political leaders to get voting right to girls or ladies. For the better health care and education for women. What was the aim of the pressure group started by ladies? First one, we want to get the equal right, or the female suffrage, we want to voting right we want to get. Then we want to get better health facilities. Then we want to get a better education. That was the intention of the pressure group. Then, okay, we'll stop here and we will continue next week.